Welcome to the pre-workout 15-minute mobility routine. Now, throughout the course of the next 15 minutes, we're going to go through, work with the foam roller. I prefer to use the rumble roller, but if you're not up to this level quite yet, feel free to use a trigger point roller or something softer. Now, this will be 15 minutes, great to do anytime, but designed to do before a workout. So let's come on in and loosen everything up. To get started, we're going to go ahead and put 15 minutes on the clock now. So starting out, I'm going to roll out my back from my shoulders down to my hips. I'll give you a couple of different angles on that as we go through. Now, in order for me to rotate my shoulder blades up and out so I can get the muscles underneath them, I'm going to put my hands behind my head and then try and squeeze my elbows together. Each one of these rolls that we go through is going to be done anywhere from 10 to 15 times. Now it's important as you're going through the upper body on the back to be mindful that our traps are up here. So I want in this position to be putting the load onto my traps, and then as I come down, it travels down my spine, I let my spine bend around it, and then all the way down through to my lower back. Now I can change my relationship with this as well by just leaning a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right as we go. Once you've gotten the 10 rolls there, we can keep that on the side. Raise your arm up so you're about 45 degrees. Figure if this is 90, lying on my side, and this is 0, lying on my back, I want to be halfway in between with my arm fully extended here. And that's going to allow me to really access the lat, which will come in for another 10 rolls on. Make sure you're thinking about breathing deeply as you do it. And we'll come through on the other side, keeping with the lat. Now, lat's one of two muscles that connects to the shoulder that's going to inhibit your mobility. The other side is the pec. If you think about grabbing this muscle right here and seeing how it ties in, it's one of the things that's really going to restrict shoulder mobility. Now, it's hard to say which one is holding you back for your shoulders without being there in person to do an assessment, but it's a very safe bet, based on my time working with people, that it's going to be one of these two, if not both. After 10 rolls through there, we'll have you come up through, and we're going to go through the glutes. Now, the glutes, aside from being the biggest muscles in the human body, are really where you're going to get a lot of your power from. Now, they're very fond of saying in some of the CrossFit Level 1 seminars that violent hip extension, so squeezing your hips all the way forward, is necessary and nearly sufficient for all athletic activities. And that's good after 10. You can see I'm going through here, trying to get all the way through my butt. Now I'm going to take that foot, put it up on the opposite knee, take my opposite hand, punch through my legs, squeeze that knee into my chest, therefore stretching out my hip, and continue to roll that out. Now up by my waistband here, I can feel the foam roller really digging in toward the piriformis. And that, based on my experience, is where most people are going to have considerable tightness. So if we think about our opportunity cost and how we're spending 15 minutes here rolling out together, that's 15 minutes we can't spend doing anything else. How do we get the most bang for our buck? How do we make the most of our time? And that's what this routine is really developed around. Now, other side, coming in for the glute. Make sure we start out here at the bottom of your butt, top of your leg, and we're going to go here on one side all the way up to your waistband, or top of your butt, bottom of your back. Rolling out 10 reps, that left glute now. So as I was saying, since the glutes are necessary for most movements, you think about jumping, anything athletic, odds are you're going to be using the glutes in there. We need to make sure we take extra time to roll them out. Hence why we're going through 2 rounds of 10 in this position. Once we cross that leg over, squeeze it in, a little bit of the hip stretch. Good. Now, time to come in for the front. We'll go through each quad for 10. Now, I'll set up here at this angle so you can see what I'm talking about. But for men especially, right, there are some anatomical downsides to rolling out both legs at the same time. You can see we're not able to go quite up high enough without hitting some things we'd rather not hit. So, what I like to do is line it up, and this is going to be better regardless of equipment. On the inside of one thigh, my other thigh is up over here. Now I can sprawl down and allow the foam roller to come all the way into my hip bone, and then bring myself forward on my elbows until I bring it up to my knee. Now, if you can't get this right away, feel free to army crawl back and forth to make sure you're really digging into that quad. Now the quad has a couple of different sides to it, right? It's a 3-dimensional object. And when I am down here, I'm really only getting the front. So feel free as you go over the course of 10, 12, 15 rolls to get the inside of the quad too. Just by turning that foot so the arch of the foot is facing the floor. You can see that drastically changes the movement and maybe get some tighter areas you weren't aware of. Same thing's true of the outside of the quad. If I go to the outside here and try and roll that out, it's going to feel just a little bit more tender as I approach my Ativa end than the front of the quad was. Now for the other leg, I'm going to give you a slightly different angle. But same position, we're sitting up here, lining it up with the inside of the thigh. And from there, top of the knee, all the way down, up until the hip crease here. So right here, I'm just below my iliac crest, right? My hip bone sticking out. Make sure we want to get that entire length of the quad and really dig in. Anywhere from 10 to 15 reps. Good. Now, those are all the big parts when it comes to the rolling. Right? We've gone through our lats, which ties into our shoulders over here. We've gotten the back, we've gotten the glutes, we've gotten the quads. There are some smaller muscles that you're probably not going to hit if you're doing a standard gym workout. Stuff like the calves, the front of the shins over here, the tibialis anterior, or maybe you have some special kind of internal rotation issues with the hip. Now you can attack either one of those as you see fit. I'm going to take the other foam roller here because it is softer and I can't have the hard one go everywhere. And I'm going to try and dig out the next problem area for me, which is the pec leading into the shoulder. So for this one, I'm going to get set up at this angle and have my leg come out just as it was during the quad rollout. Once I'm here, I can stick this foam roller underneath my armpit and have it go all the way from my armpit and crawl forward so I can roll out the whole length of the pectoral muscle. Same deal here, 10 to 15 rolls. Good. Then we'll come in for the other side. Good. So once I've gone through the pecs, loosened up the shoulders considerably, we're feeling better there, I'm going to take the next 4.5 minutes and go through the biggest stretches. Now, the biggest and most effective stretch that I found has been the open book stretch. So we're going to come up here and go through that for 30 seconds. Lying back on the ground, most important part, grab the floor over here. With your right arm, make sure your right shoulder is stapled down to the floor. This is paramount. The shoulder may not come up off the ground. From there, while keeping shoulder on the ground, I'm going to bring my right knee to my left side and crank that down as much as possible. If I'm actively grabbing the floor with my right hand here, I can feel a stretch through my bicep tendon, through my chest, into my shoulder, and then simultaneously, I can feel down here, all through the hip that we were just rolling. And that's 30 seconds. Let's go ahead, bring it up other side, left arm, stapled down, grabbing the floor, left shoulder on the ground, paramount importance. Grab that left knee, crank it over to the right side here, and 30 seconds on the clock. Now with the stretches especially, it is of the utmost importance to think about your breathing. I prefer a method called box breathing. The idea with box breathing is to spend 4 seconds inhaling, 4 seconds holding your breath, 4 seconds exhaling, and 30 seconds. Come on out. And then 4 seconds holding breathless. Right? It is going to send the signal to the body to loosen up your muscles and make any stretch more enjoyable and more effective. Now, aside from the glutes, the other big problem areas we're going to revisit, the lats from the roll. So for this, I prefer to do a 90-second lat medley. Starting out, both arms in front, walking over on either side once we're on the ground. So going through that together, 30 seconds each position. Make sure these elbows are straight, your hips are all the way back down, and then walk those hands out, get them as far away from you as you can. Pull the hips back simultaneously and drive down. And 30 seconds. Let's go ahead, walk it all the way over to the side, and now same deal, grab the floor and drive those hips back as much as possible. Deep stretch. You can notice here with my left armpit, in a perfect world I'd be able to get this a straight line and have it touch the ground. We hardly live in a perfect world, but the closer I get to it, the better off I'm going to be, and the more I'm going to feel it down through my lat and my entire left side. And in 3, 2, 1. Other side. Here we go. 30 seconds. And good. So that has been your 15-minute mobility warm-up. I'm not going to tell you that you have to mobilize before a workout versus after it. Really the important thing is just to get it in as often as possible. If you've ever been told that you are too mobile or too flexible, maybe this isn't for you exactly, but if you're like me, no one's ever told you that, no one's ever going to. So realistically, the more mobility practice, the better. Before workouts, after workouts, the important thing is that we're getting it in and we're trying to get a little bit better each day. I look forward to seeing you back here later. Till next time.